Will the government commit to stripping citizenship from dual nationals implicated and deport them as well? Race or religion must protect nobody. Will the government commit to pausing all Pakistani visas and foreign aid into the country until the Pakistani government agrees to accept any of its deported citizens that have perpetrated these crimes on British soil, and also imprisons these rapists and their accomplices in Pakistan, however they see fit? Will the government undertake a full investigation into officials who had knowledge of these crimes, yet failed to act?
Rupert Lowe is a remarkable politician who, like all politicians, asks tough questions. In the House of Commons, he addressed the gang rape scandal, demanding answers and concluding his speech with a call for swift and severe justice for those responsible. Surprisingly, his remarks brought one MP to tears, as she deemed his language too harsh. It's hard to believe. American businessman Elon Musk echoed the sentiment that the UK judicial system is fundamentally broken, a reality that has become increasingly evident amid the ongoing scandal involving unpunished rapist gangs. One user on the social media platform X remarked that the British judicial system is entirely failing, and the recent gang scandal highlights just how dire the situation is. And meanwhile, Prime Minister Keir Starmer is not just part of the problem, he is seen as the problem itself. Previously, Musk suggested that the United States should liberate the British people from the tyranny of their current Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. In response, Starmer labeled Musk's statements as lies and misinformation, accusing the entrepreneur of falsely implicating him in mass crimes during his tenure as head of the Crown Prosecution Service.
How many vulnerable young girls are estimated to still be involved in these gangs? If there is no estimate figure, why not? Will a regular update be published detailing ongoing prosecutions and sentencing? Will the government publish a full nationality breakdown of those convicted for such offences, along with the location of their crimes? How many known foreign rapists per town, per region? Will they publish a breakdown of the immigration status of those involved? On what grounds were they in the UK? Do they have previous convictions? How many foreign nationals found guilty have been released but not deported? And how many re-offences? I'm going to carry on if that's right. How many re-offences have occurred since release?
Elon Musk has criticized British Prime Minister Keir Starmer for his failure to hold accountable Pakistani gangs that systematically raped girls for 16 years in Rotherham and other English cities with significant Muslim populations. Musk highlighted the disturbing reality of British Pakistani gangs involved in these crimes. He expressed his concerns on social media following a call from Conservative leader Kimi Badenoch for a national public inquiry into the issue of rapist gangs in the UK. This call came after the Home Secretary, Jess Phillips, rejected a request from the Oldham Council for a government-led investigation. The Rotherham case exposed systemic failures that allowed rapists to exploit and abuse 1,400 victims over a span of 16 years, many of whom were just 11 years old. The crimes included intimidation, violence, and kidnappings, yet the authorities did not take adequate measures to address the issue.
How many of these monsters are walking on the same streets as the girls they raped and abused? One report suggested a victim had come face to face with her rapist in a supermarket. Is the government comfortable with that? How many of the foreign rapists were in receipt of any form of state benefit? I'm going to carry on.
The individuals involved in the Rotherham scandal are predominantly men of Pakistani descent. Victims were silenced through manipulation, threats, and violence, while their complaints were largely ignored by authorities. A significant factor contributing to this negligence was fear officials were concerned about being accused of racism, given that most of the perpetrators were of Pakistani origin. An independent investigation led by Professor Alexis Jay in 2014 brought these crimes to light. Jay's report revealed that the abuse persisted for over a decade in areas such as Oldham, Rotherham, Cornwall, Derbyshire, Rochdale, and Bristol, despite numerous warnings and communications sent to local authorities. In 2012, Starmer, who was then the head of the Crown Prosecution Service, acknowledged that the justice system had serious flaws in addressing such cases. He appointed Nazir Afzal, a Pakistani known for his anti-racism advocacy in the UK, to oversee the investigation of child abuse cases.
I want to start by welcoming this bill because it actually does address a lot of the underlying problems that we have within our schools, education, and indeed protection of children. I welcome the Secretary of State's commitment to make this a child-centred bill. I've got to say, I feel disgusted by what the Honourable Gentleman has just said. Can you imagine if you're a victim or survivor listening to that? I'm sure his intent is to get to the truth and get justice, but the language, please think about who hears our words.
Starmer is feeling the pressure. Following intense confrontations with Musk, he is working to regain control of the situation. The Prime Minister plans to convene his cabinet to discuss how to address the escalating controversy. At a press conference the previous day, Starmer condemned the exploitation of individuals as utterly abhorrent and staunchly defended his reputation as the former Attorney General. He stated that sufficient investigations had already been conducted into the decades-long scandal affecting numerous cities and towns. A survey conducted by the More in Common organization for Leapsio revealed that approximately 23% of Britons would like to see Farage replace Starmer as Prime Minister. Meanwhile, Musk, who referred to Reform UK as the only hope for Great Britain, has called for a change in leadership. The American businessman and the British politician have clashed over their views on Tommy Robinson. The former leader of the far-right English Defence League, Musk, has spoken favourably of him, while Farage has expressed disapproval.
Sorry, everyone. On the 26th of November 2024, in her letter to the chair of the Safeguarding Practice Review Panel, the Secretary of State for Education said, "The forthcoming Children's Wellbeing Bill is a vital mechanism for improving the lives of vulnerable children. There is a renewed government focus on tackling child sexual exploitation, which will necessarily include our response to the ICSA recommendations." I want to take this moment as an opportunity to say to the Secretary of State which of those recommendations fall squarely within this bill, and I hope with cross-party support we can encourage the Secretary of State to adopt them.
After helping secure Trump's election victory, Elon Musk has shifted his focus to Germany and Britain. In his characteristic eccentric style, the billionaire has criticized the governments of these nations and insulted their leaders. Through his influence, Musk aims to effect change on a global scale. In recent weeks, he has used a series of posts on his X platform to express his discontent with the governments of Germany and the United Kingdom, questioning their laws and their economic competence.
ICSA actually published 20 recommendations that were trying to address the whole of child sexual abuse in this country, to get support for those victims and survivors, to get early intervention to prevent the crime, but also to get the prosecutions that we all so desperately want. Recommendation 1 was for a core data set. Currently, the bill's single-use identifier number is not the same as a core data set. There is a need for a unified set of data which allows authorities to better understand the prevalence of abuse, identifying patterns and informing evidence-based policy making. What we currently have is a patchy, fragmented data system that hinders effective prevention and intervention.
He directed personal insults at the political leaders of both countries, labeling German Chancellor Olaf Scholz a fool, referring to the German president as a tyrant, and also targeting British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. The billionaire's motives for undermining relations with key US allies are often unclear. Musk's interventions provoke predictable outrage and confusion, with both the government and opposition united in their condemnation of his tactics. His chosen targets find themselves in a challenging position as they have limited options for response. They must tread carefully in reacting to someone who cannot resist sharing his thoughts, no matter how unpleasant, and who has the potential to influence the actions of the next US president. See you next time.